devastating news for chocolate lovers. Consumer Reports recently found that out of 28 bars of chocolate tested, 23 of them contained alarmingly high amounts of cancer-causing heavy metals, lead, and cadmium. In this video, I will answer the questions: which bars are safe to eat? How much is safe to eat? Is it only dark chocolate, or is it milk chocolate and chocolate powder as well? How do the heavy metals get in the chocolate in the first place? Is this all over the world or just in the US? And how can we change this? Here's the list. Only 5 chocolates tested were below the maximum allowable dose level for lead and cadmium. Here are those 5. You'll notice even these 5 contain both lead and cadmium. I was surprised to see that ethical, green, fair trade chocolate companies are also high in heavy metals like Alter Eco, Tony's, Lily's, Green and Black, Endangered Species, and even ones that are organic, like Equal Exchange, Beyond Good, Pasha, and one of my favorites, Hue. They have said that consuming even an ounce of this dark chocolate could be unhealthy, and instead to treat it like a treat and eat it sparingly. We have been fed the idea that dark chocolate is healthiest because it contains the most flavonols, which have antioxidant properties, but it also contains the most heavy metals. Now, you might not want to give up dark chocolate, and neither do I, but I was diagnosed with a blood cancer at the age of 42, and I was otherwise super healthy, a vegetarian for 24 years. I ate organic, I didn't smoke or drink, I ran marathons. But when I was diagnosed, my naturopathic doctor tested me for heavy metals, and sure enough, I was super high in both lead and cadmium. Here are my heavy metal test results 1 month after being diagnosed with blood cancer. You can see I have 3 times the amount of expected lead and 2 times the amount of expected cadmium. I'm also really high in mercury. After a year of heavy metal detoxing with DMSA through my naturopathic doctor, where I cut out eating most fish aside from salmon, I'm still very high in both lead and cadmium, and my mercury has gone down. So I'm now going to stop eating dark chocolate, do another round of heavy metal detoxing, and I will continue to share the results with you to see if cutting out dark chocolate has decreased my levels of heavy metals. How do heavy metals get in chocolate in the first place? Cadmium is actually found in soil and accumulates in the cacao bean as the tree grows. Cadmium levels seem to increase with older cacao trees and with soil or fertilizer that may be contaminated with cadmium. Lead, however, seems to be at low levels when the beans are picked, but are contaminated as the beans are drying. So there may be possible exposure to lead dust. For example, when I lived in Central America, I often saw coffee beans drying by the side of the road on top of tarps. Also, some countries still use leaded gasoline-powered machines to dry the cacao beans. Because the metals get into cacao in different ways, this means that chocolate manufacturers need to change both the ways that the beans are cultivated and dried in order to decrease the amounts of heavy metals in our chocolate. The Consumer Reports study only tested dark chocolate, and from what we know, milk chocolate contains less of the cacao solid, which is where most of the heavy metals are. Any products with cacao solids will likely contain some lead and cadmium, and the darker the chocolate, the higher the amount. This applies to powder, raw cacao drinks, hot chocolate, brownie, and cake mixes. If you love dark chocolate and you don't want to give it up, here again are the 5 chocolates that tested on the safe list. And just a reminder that all of the chocolates are safe to eat in moderation. Several lawsuits have been filed against popular chocolate makers, including Trader Joe's, Hershey's, Mars, and Godiva. Both Hershey's and Godiva responded saying that their products are safe, and both implied that these heavy metals are naturally occurring. Let's take a look at both Godiva and Hershey's. Both of their products tested high for lead, with Hershey's Special Dark testing highest out of all of them in lead. A lot of people think that since the study was done in the US, that it pertains to US chocolates only. However, the majority of the world's chocolate is produced in Western Africa, also in South America, Mexico, and Indonesia. I live in the only US state that commercially produces chocolate, and that is Hawaii. And since the heavy metals get in cacao while growing and drying, This is a problem in many parts of the world, but it doesn't have to be. The European Union set acceptable levels of heavy metals in chocolate years ago. For example, you can mix chocolate from a high cadmium area with chocolate from a lower cadmium area to lower the levels of cadmium overall. You can sign a petition on consumerreports.org to tell chocolate makers to make chocolate safer, and follow me for more.